Hi, in today's video, we are going to talk about what are the closing costs associated when you are selling a home. Whether you're selling your home the first time or you haven't sold a house in a long time, let's explore some of the costs that you incur, and these are estimated costs when selling a home. This is a very common question we get all the time as agents and realtors about sellers' closing costs, and at the same time, what are the buyer's closing costs, as usually when sellers sell their home, they end up buying a house or they're thinking about moving to another house. Hi, I'm Mike Patel with First Team Real Estate right here in Anaheim Hills. And I'm going to talk about the closing costs not only that are associated with selling a house in Anaheim Hills, but anywhere in Orange County and pretty much of California, as I'm in the state of California. So let's look at the cost. And of course, I'm not going to talk about today the actual numbers of what it costs to sell a home. I'm going to talk about the items that are associated with selling the home. So let's get right into it. The number one closing cost when selling a home is, of course, your mortgage payment, assuming you have a mortgage payment. Most sellers that I've dealt with have closing cost or have a mortgage payment. Very few have the homes paid off. And usually you might have one loan or you might have two loans or other liens on the property. So that's the biggest expense that you have to pay off when you sell a home. Item number two when selling a home is your last and final mortgage payment. Yes, your final mortgage payment is due when you sell the home because, as you know, mortgage payments are paid in arrears. What that means is you don't incur interest until 30 days when you start the loan. So when you sell a home, you're selling it for the last 30 days that you stayed at the house. So at the end of the closing, your escrow company or your attorneys will prorate your mortgage payments due, and they will add your mortgage payment that are due, whether you're moving on the 15th of the month or the 20th of the month or the 30th of the month. They will prorate that, add it to the mortgage payment that was due, and combine those two to pay off your mortgage loan and your mortgage payment. So those are the two most, quote, expensive payments when selling a home. By the way, I want to take a quick moment before I continue to thank you for coming and visiting my page, looking at this video, and I would really appreciate you can make some comments or share, and also if you can subscribe to my channel, as I put out videos like this every week, sometimes even twice a week. So thanks for watching. Earlier I mentioned that your biggest closing cost is your mortgage payment and your mortgage itself. So I take that back. The second most expensive cost in selling a home is obviously the seller's commissions. And they were typically 6% of the purchase price. But in this market, when homes are selling like hotcakes and the sellers feel that agents are not doing enough to sell a home, and we totally understand how sellers feel, the closing cost, typically the commissions, at least in Orange County, California, right now it used to be 6%, but these days it's very common to see 5% of the purchase price as commissions. And also these commissions, if it's 5% or if it's 6%, typically the way it works is if I'm the listing agent, then our company, and my company is First Team Real Estate, we would take the 5% in this example. And if another agency brought in the buyer, let's say Century 21 or Remax or any other brokerage, then we would share that commission with the other company. So the 5% or 6% is split between the listing agent and the selling agent, and then the selling agent and listing agent splits their commissions with the brokerage company. So us as listing agent and buyer's agent don't get the big pie. We share it with our brokerage companies, and then of course we add our advertising fees and other fees. Just in case you want to find out how the actual numbers work, I did a video last year. It's called What Are the Actual Closing Costs When Selling a Home? So if you would like to see this video, I'm going to put a link in the description, and at the end of this video I'll have a link over there too. This explains exactly what the numbers are compared to this video where I'm just showing you or explaining to you what items are there. So please feel free to look at it. It's got some great information in that video. The other cost that all the sellers encounter when selling their home is what we call the settlement cost. At least in Orange County, and I know in the East Coast they use attorneys and law firms to close their transaction. In California, we use escrow companies, and when we use the escrow companies, we have additional costs that they take care of as far as the paperwork goes, and that is the escrow fees, number one, and then we have the title fees. So escrow fees are the fees we pay to the escrow company. Usually the buyer pays their portion, the seller pays their portion, and escrow company, as you may know, is a third party to handle all the paperwork and all the money like the deposits and fees involved. So that's the fees that go to the escrow company. And the way they charge is a percentage of your purchase price. The second settlement fee is what we call the title fees. The title fees, there's a lot of title companies. Fidelity is one of the bigger companies. Chicago Title is one of the bigger national companies. And they charge title fees when we sell a home. And there are two title fees. One is the one that the buyer pays, which they are required to pay for their lender's title insurance. And then the other fee, seller pays for the buyer, which is for the buyer's title policy. And of course, just like escrow fees, title fees are a percentage of your purchase price, and it's not a fixed amount, and they are pretty nominal fees. The other item that comes into play when selling a home is usually the property taxes. In Anaheim Hills and Orange County, and of course California, property taxes are due 6 months ahead. But sometimes if they're not paid for some reason and you're trying to sell the home, the property taxes are prorated. What that means is, let's say you close on July 15th or July 1st or July 30th. The days vary on how much time you stayed in your house at the end. So depending on that day, your property taxes due are prorated, and the balance is paid through escrow. So that's an additional expense. Usually from my experience, most sellers are current, so this issue does not come up, but there have been times where sellers must have missed a payment or forgot to pay or could not afford to pay, and they have to put it, and they have to pay the taxes. So those property taxes are prorated, and it is a cost if they are due. There are a lot of other items that come into play when selling a home. It's not that easy. And what I'm gonna call this final item is what we call the bucket of expenses, which are miscellaneous expenses. And I'll give you an example. You have recording fees that the title company charges you for recording and transferring the name. If you have an association, there are homeowners association fees and homeowners transfer fees. So that is an additional cost. Of course, all of this is prorated. We have loan tie-in fee. What that means is the escrow charges their fees to do the escrow, but because they have to pay your mortgage off to the current bank and then tie in the new bank for the new buyers, there are what we call the loan tie-in fees. That's additional expense. You might have notary fees. You might have grand deed fees that you have to sign or change. You have a courier fees, FedEx fees, and little things like that. A lot of the buyers request a home warranty. So home warranty in California, basic policy costs around $500 to $400. And if you have a swimming pool, and if you have a jacuzzi, and if the buyer is asking for additional warranty for your refrigerator, etc., it could go as high as $1,000. So those are additional costs that are associated with closing a home. And one thing I did not mention in the settlement of selling your home is that any repairs that may come up. In this market, a lot of the sellers did not do repairs. But let's say you went into escrow and you found out that your dishwasher is not working, and the buyers gave you a great price and they're asking for you to fix the washer or dryer or a dishwasher, then that's an additional cost. So any items you fix, like let's say you do a termite report, which is an optional item, and if there's work to be done, that's an additional cost if you have it. And of course, the final thing I want to talk about is that when you put your home on the market, and if you talk to agents like myself or other agents, they will recommend to prep your house, fix up any minor things, and spruce up your yard, your curb appeal, paint some items that may need painting or cleaning up. So that may cost you $500, $5,000 or whatever. So those are additional costs, but not part of the actual documentation and closing, but it is a cost that you incur. Hope this helped. Please watch my video that explains the actual numbers when selling a home.